Welcome back everyone to another video. Tone here. This video will talk about the NBA 10 bet tips. Just to give you a little background, I have been gambling, on basketball game for the last 6 years, literally every single day. I've learned a lot, and I just wanted to share some of my experience with you guys. And before we start, if you haven't checked out the other videos, please do. Please like, please comment, and please subscribe. It'll be much appreciated. So let's get started. All right, so for the first tip is set a bet limit. This is important. You can only bet what you can afford to lose. If you're betting $20, let's say a game, but you have to think about that $20, for gas, food, rent, or anything else, right? You're betting a little too much. You have to go down to, to $10 or $5 because, you could lose this bet, right? And you have to set a bet where if you lose it, it doesn't really affect your life in any way. So that's important. So that is the first rule or tip. The second tip is don't chase your losses. I know the feeling. I just want to point out that we all get bad losses when we gamble. Guys going under by a point, guys going over assist by one. Guys getting injured during the game, so you kind of lose your bet. But you can't chase your losses because if you do, you're going to end up losing more money. I feel like, because I've done that a few times, where I lost one bet and after I would live bet and I would lose both bets, right? So these two rules are probably the most important rules, I would say, when it comes to just not NBA betting, but just gambling in general. You have to control it, set a limit, and realize that you're not the only one who gets bad losses, right? We all do. So please, guys, don't chase your losses. We all get L's. Just save the money and just play another day, right? All right. So the third bet is the third tip is, all right. So just based on experience, I feel like you can go under on role players. Like when players are on the road, I feel like they shoot worse, right? The percentage is a little lower because the home players, they are playing better defense, right? The crowd is giving them energy. They've been traveling. So if you ever want to go under on role players. They tend to go under a bit more, I would say, than when they're at home, right? Because if you want to go over on home players, because home players, they shoot better, right? So they get more points and you get more assists, and they play better defense, so you can get more rebounds. So that's one of the good tips for NBA betting is under on role players and over on home players. All right. The fourth tip is, this is not really my style, but it does work. If you're like paying attention to the media and you're checking the injury report and you see guys that are dealing with some kind of injury, go under on them. They're not the same. Sometimes I feel like some of them are just out there for like a decoy, like they're just there just to kind of make plays, but they're not really aggressive in terms of scoring. So if you know that a player that's dealing with some kind of an injury, even if it's for a while, like especially if it's like a while, like a couple of days, go under on them, because they're just not the same, and they don't have their legs, and you just feel like they're just out there just to kind of just like help their team, right? But they're not as aggressive if they were fully healthy. So this is a good tip as well. All right, so the number 5th tip is think about any potential backstory. I think rivalries do matter. Like, just this past series, right? I think the Lakers, if they face Denver, I think the Lakers will kind of get up for it, right? They'll play harder because they got swept last season, and I just feel like they're gonna bring extra energy, right? So you want to go over on LeBron James, you want to go over on Anthony Davis, right? Because they're gonna bring extra energy to that game because of what happened. And I also believe in hometown, like when players are going back to their home city, I think they do play better, right? Family members are there, friends are there, so they tend to be more aggressive, and and just more focused on the games, you know. So a good example is like when SGA from OKC come back to Toronto. He'll likely put up some big points. Same as Wiggins. They tend to play really well when they're in Toronto, right? So I would go over on those guys as well when they're coming back home. It's just especially Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson going to LA when he plays against the Lakers in LA. Go over on Klay Thompson. He just like lights out. He just like shoots it really well when he's playing against the Lakers in the crypto arena. And I also think the media narrative actually play a role too. I don't care what anybody says. These NBA players are listening to like First Take, Undisputed, and ESPN. And I think that if the media is kind of like saying that they're underperforming, they're not playing well, they tend to show up in that game. I feel like sometimes it's like if you look at the superstar, if they're struggling and the media start calling them out, oh, we need Tatum to play better. Tatum for some reason in that game will perform. Like he's gonna either take more shots or he's gonna be more aggressive, right? So you gotta have to pay attention to what the media is saying, because these NBA players, they do listen, in my opinion, right? Maybe low key they listen, but they are listening, and they do want to like kind of shut the media up and just perform. So you have to pay attention to what the media narrative is during that game. So during that day. All right. So the next tip is under on a superstar if the game is a potential blowout. I feel like, for example, if Boston is playing the Detroit Pistons, Jason Tatum is probably not gonna get 30 points, right? He's probably gonna get about like 25. He is not needed. The role players, I feel like they're gonna take more shots. I feel like the coaching staff will give these role players more of an opportunity to, give them more minutes, because they want to know, who can be part of the rotation, right, down the road. And I just feel like the superstars, if the game is a blowout too, right, they sit the last 6-7 minutes too, right? So they're probably gonna go under if they're not playing the last 6-7 minutes of the fourth quarter. Because if you watch basketball, right, the fourth quarter, the last 6-7 minutes, the superstars are taking a lot of the shots, but that's where you kind of get those points, right, to go over. But if it's a blowout, right, and they're not needed, they're gonna be sitting, right, in a blowout game. So yeah, so that's another tip as well. If you think this game is gonna be a blowout, the superstar tends to go under, and the role players usually go over in points. All right, so the next tip is, again, this is not my style, but if you do see someone like an all-star go down due to an injury, ejection, foul trouble, live bet it, bet against that team, because those superstars do make a difference, in my opinion. I know they do dictate the game in a lot of ways. So yeah, so sometimes I do live bet if I see an all-star in foul trouble, right? I would just bet against that team. So it does work a few times, I would say. So that's another tip as well. All right, so the next tip is, this is probably very common, betting against team that's playing back-to-back games. I don't think this is as good as it sounds like. I would say, because I do this often. I don't do it often, but I do it sometimes. but I feel like the win rate is like probably like 52%. Like for I don't know what it is. Like sometimes the teams that is playing back to back, they end up playing really well. All right. Um, so this is kind of like like this is this is a bet that I would not always do, because I know like you hear this a lot, right, from other betters, but I would say the win rate for betting it's 52% in my opinion. I don't think it's any higher than that. But it is a good tip. I think if you do it in the long run, you do tend to make a little bit of money if you keep betting against team that's playing back to back. I think it will eventually like swing your way, but the profit is very little in my opinion. All right, so the number 9 tip is don't bet too early. I know a lot of bettors will tell you to go shop for lines, right? Early, when the bookmaker are opening up the bet. I personally disagree with that because I feel like 9 a.m. to game time, a lot of things could happen, right? Players could get injured, right, during practice. They could feel sick. There could be a family emergency. There's so many things that's going on in 8-9 hours. So why are you betting so early for like an extra point or an extra half a point? Because I think the key in betting is you have to know as much information as possible, right? If you're just like blind betting, I don't think you're going to be successful in basketball betting. You have to like know what's going on. You have to gather as much information as possible, and then you can make a smart bet. This is how you you know you increase your chance of winning, right? So I usually I don't bet like 15 minutes before the game in most days. I used to bet very early, but I stopped doing that because I realized all this COVID stuff, guys are like feeling injured for some reason, right? They probably got injured during practice or warm up, whatever the reason may be, right? So be very careful if you're gonna bet early, because at the end of the day, the information is gonna help increase the odds of you winning your bet. So yeah, and the last tip is track your bets. This is gonna sound a little funny, but I do have good luck players and bad luck players. My two good luck players, I would say, is Kawhi Leonard and Jokic. I think those two guys I usually put a lot of money into because I feel like they're the ones that always give me results for some reason. And my bad luck players are like Paul George and Anthony Davis. Like I try to avoid them as much as possible. And if I do bet on them, I put like just my minimum, right? Because I don't know, for some reason Paul George, like, he goes off when I don't put money on him. When I put money on him, he just goes, it's just like all brick. So I think this does matter. Like, find out your good luck players and your bad luck players, track your bets, and and you will see that it actually does make a little difference. This pretty much concludes the video, guys. Like, I have so much more tips, but I can't put it in a video. You're gonna have to tune in when I start when these games are actually playing and I start betting. I will share my experience and the tips and my logic on why I'm making these bets when the season starts. So you're just gonna have to tune back in if you want to learn more about NBA betting. I'm gonna be betting a lot of games. Most of the videos that I'm gonna be putting out have betting in it. So if you want to just kind of like learn or kind of just see, please tune in and please subscribe because I'm more than happy to share them and continue to learn myself along the way. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.